My name again is Desmond Robinson, also known as Chef D. Arthur. Again, it is a tremendous honor to be here. I want to thank the University of Memphis, the Office of Multicultural Affairs, Ms. Hall specifically, who has been taking care of me since I was an 18-year-old freshman, and the Kemmons Culinary Institute, which I am so impressed by what y'all have done with this building and this box with my name on it. All right, so let's open our boxes. I know students got boxes that they picked up already. People have actually shown me pictures. A lot of y'all didn't wait for today. Y'all went ahead and started cooking, and the pictures look good. So when we open our boxes, the first thing you should see are the menu cards for today. And the reason we have those in there are just in case I'm going too fast, or you get off track, or your Wi-Fi breaks up, or you just need to go slower on your own pace. The recipe, ingredients, plus step-by-step instructions are here just in case you get lost. The next thing we have is a brochure for the Kemmons Wilson Culinary Institute. They have a lot of really, really cool courses and a lot of information. So if you're interested in culinary school or taking a culinary class, hit them up. For the students, there is a career fair coming up. They have Me Today. Then they have headshots on February 10th. They have a Zoom into your future career with Disney resorts. And I know a lot of chefs who start off in resorts and on cruise ships and stuff. That's a good look. And then on the 23rd, they have how to prepare for a virtual interview. So check that out. Next in your box, this is parchment paper. I know this looks like a divider to separate everything, but don't throw this away. We want this for our baking sheet so our chicken doesn't stick. So hold on to that. Everyone should have received an apron. And this is my apron. I don't know if they intended for me to keep this or not, but I'm keeping it. Is it messing up my mic? No, we're good. Right? All right, now the fun stuff, the food. So, ice packs, we're gonna take those out. We should have breadcrumbs here, panko breadcrumbs. A bag of potatoes that we're gonna take out. Silverware, they didn't skip nothing, huh? Eggs, green beans, already trimmed and everything. Make it easy for me. Seasonings, and I'll break these down in just a moment. A shallot and a little bit of garlic, butter, heavy whipping cream, and boneless, skinless chicken thighs. All right. Mind grabbing this for me, friend? Thank you. We need to have some water boiling. Yes. So behind me, I have water boiling, and I'm going to explain to you what that is in just a moment here. Let me get these ingredients out of the way. So if you're at home cooking with me, I want you to take a moment to stop and do a couple of things. I have 2 pots of water, medium-sized pots boiling. One is for my green beans and one is for my potatoes. So let's go ahead and fill both of those pots about halfway with water and get them on medium-high heat so we can get that water to a boil. We also want to go ahead and preheat our oven to 400 degrees. All right? That way, when it's time to put our chicken in, our oven will already be nice and hot. So everybody take a second to do that. 3 things. Get 1, a pot of water boiling for your green beans, a pot of water boiling for your potatoes, and let's get our oven preset to 400 degrees for our chicken. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that. I really appreciate also, while you're doing that, the University of Memphis bringing me back for Black History Month, and I love the theme, Black Family. You know, in the spirit of it being Black History Month, in the spirit of us focusing on the Black family, I want today's recipe to focus on Black futures. I know we're talking about Black history, but we're talking about Black futures, and we can't talk about Black futures without talking about health. So today's recipe is going to literally take one of our favorite Black cuisines and give you a healthy interpretation of it. And so think about it. What is one of our favorite African-American dishes? Fried chicken. Ding, 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 ding. We like it. Don't act like you don't like it. I like it. I like all of that. So today we're going to make a panko crusted chicken in the oven that is going to make you feel like you're eating fried chicken, except we're going to do it with half of the oil. Not even half of the oil, a lot less. Yes. Gonna add a little bit of salt to my potato water here. A little bit of salt to my green bean water here. But yeah, we're making a healthy chicken dinner, so we're going to add, we're making a healthy chicken dinner, so it's going to be a panko crusted chicken. It's going to feel like you're eating a fried chicken. It's going to be nice and crispy. We're going to eat a black and green bean, and so instead of boiling it and all of these seasonings like you would normally do in a traditional African American dish, we're going to saute those things up. We're going to blanch them and saute them up. And we're gonna have a garlic mash. All really, really good chicken dinner, ready to go. All right, everybody should have their water going and their stove ready to go. So we're gonna start off with our potatoes. So I'm gonna get my potatoes on my cutting board. And what the first thing I wanna do is get these potatoes a lot smaller. They're too big and I want them to boil fast enough for us to get done with this dish in the time that we have allotted. So I'm going to cut these down a bit smaller here. And these potatoes, we're going to keep the skin on. All right, so I'm going to cut those in half, cut the half in half, and then cube those babies, nice and small. That's my ball. Cut this in half and cube them. And this is, you don't have to do this if you have a little bit of time on your hands, but I just want this to go by faster so we can not take up too much of your time. Get these in a bowl. Uh-oh, my glove got in there. And this is just the way I'm cutting them. You can cut them however you want to. The goal is just to get them small enough to boil fast. They gave y'all a nice potato amount of potatoes and chicken and stuff. I'm a college student, I'm about to eat good. This is enough food for a couple of days. Okay, cube these babies up. Oh yeah. My mom is the queen of potatoes. I feel like she can do anything with potatoes. Stew them, make a soup, saute them, scallop them, mash them, fry them, anything. 400 degrees. You can preheat your oven to 400 degrees. I know we're used to 350, but this recipe we're going to do 400, and that's because we don't want to bake the chicken. We want to roast the chicken. We're using boneless, skinless chicken thighs. One, because I think it has some good fat in there, and it's going to keep the chicken nice and moist and not dry out. It's going to hold up really, really well against the panko breadcrumb. It's going to be really good. It's going to roast off really well. All right. So I got my potatoes cubed up, and I'm going to put them into my pot of boiling water here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A little splash, splash. It'll be all right. Okay. We got our potatoes going. All right. So while those are boiling, we're going to move over to our chicken. That's going to take about 20 to 25 minutes in the oven, depending on how well your oven works. So we want to go ahead and get that situated so it can go in the oven while our potatoes are cooking down. Get these gloves on. Wow. Okay, get this. All right. So, okay. So for our chicken, before I start with the actually chicken, we need a couple of things. So we need our eggs, we need our panko breadcrumbs, we need our chicken, we need our Cajun seasoning, our garlic powder, and you should have 2 things of EVOOO olive oil. We'll just grab one of those, all right? So go ahead and get your seasoning situated. Again, that's Cajun seasoning. It should be marked CS, garlic powder, GP, and olive oil. And then we have our breadcrumbs and our eggs. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to start with 2 eggs here. They gave us a nice amount of eggs. We're going to start with 2. We're going to crack 2 of our eggs into a bowl. There we go. I'm going to add just a little bit of water that I have here. I use 2 eggs. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of water. I'm going to eyeball it. And we're going to beat those eggs in the water. And that's going to be our batter for our panko chicken. That's going to help our panko breadcrumbs actually stick to the chicken. If you just try to put it on there, it'll look like croutons or something. It's not going to do right. But you need something to stick it on there. So here we go. All right, got that. The next one, we're going to put our actual panko breadcrumbs in the bowl. All right, eggs in one bowl, panko breadcrumbs in another bowl. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Take your time, Dot. Let them use you. While we are catching up, I will say this. So for the sake of this recipe being simple, we went with Cajun seasoning and garlic powder for how we're going to season this chicken. How much water? 2 tablespoons of water. So for each egg you use, you want to use a tablespoon of water. And so if you have a lot of chicken and you end up needing 4 eggs, you want to add 4 tablespoons of water, however much you need. Where was I? I forgot what I was saying there. So we have this chicken. Seasoning. Oh, seasoning. So we went with Cajun seasoning and garlic powder because that's really, really simple. And we know we were giving this out to students. And I wanted to make this as simple as possible. However, you at home with a full seasoning cabinet, you can play around with the seasonings. If you want to use Cajun seasoning, blackened seasoning, lemon pepper, you want to use some no salt seasoning. However you want to season this chicken, you can. It's going to take on whatever flavor you want to put on there. We just went Cajun because it's a really, really good source of one season. It has everything that you need in it in one sprinkle, and that's going to be easy for students. But if you have some room to play at home with your seasoning cabinet, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. All right. I'm going to take my chicken thighs out here. And it looks like I have 3 or 4. Let's see. 3. Okay. I have 3 beautiful boneless, skinless chicken thighs. The glove got pretty wet, so I'm going to take that off. Put on another. And so these have a little bit of fat on them that I want to get off. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my knife and get some of this fat off. All right. So we got a little bit of fat over here on the side. We're just going to skim some of that fat off like that. We want this to be lean, healthy. Get some of that fat off right there. Get some of that fat off right there. That's good. Same thing here. Let's trim off some of that fat. Let's trim off some of this fat. You want to make sure that you're not taking off too much chicken. You just kind of want to get some of those extra chunky fat pieces out of the way. There we go. Maybe this right here. Ooh, okay, that's a nice piece. Boom. And last but not least, this one doesn't have a lot of fat. We're just gonna take this little piece off here. Boom. Get a little more of that off. All right. Cool, 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 cool. All right. 3 pieces, fat trimmed off. I'm gonna get rid of these gloves. All right, so now we want to season our chicken. Like I said, we're gonna take some olive oil. Let's go ahead and drizzle this olive oil, this one thing of olive oil on there. All right. Cajun seasoning, already prepackaged. Garlic powder. And if you like a little extra spice in your life like me and don't mind a kick, let's add a little extra black pepper too, just for personality. All right, now either using your hands or some gloves or some tongs, we want to mix this in really, really, really good. We want to make sure that all of the chicken is being touched by a granule of seasoning. There are 2 pounds of chicken in each box. Good to know. Shout out to Mama Robinson. We see you. She would appreciate that. All right. So now I am going to massage this chicken. Make sure that my Cajun seasoning, my garlic powder, my black pepper, my olive oil is loving on each piece. Yes, yes, yes. If you're not rubbing it in there like that, you can also do it with a pair of tongs. You can do it with your bare hands as long as you're washing your hands very, very thoroughly after. But we want to get it in there good. Also, we're making this recipe really quick today, but if you have some extra time on your hands at home, put this in a Ziploc bag, marinate it overnight, marinate it for a couple of hours, maybe add a couple of lemon and lime slices to it to add some citrus in there. It'll do you right. Because that Cajun seasoning and that citrus and that olive oil, your salt, fat, acid, are all going to work really, really well together to marinate that chicken overnight. And so when you do it the next day or a couple of hours later, it's going to pop. But for the sake of today, we're going to do it just like this. All right. It's marinated in there really, really good. I'm going to get rid of my fat here because I don't like looking at it on my cutting board. That's slimy, so it's all over. All right. I'm going to give everybody salt, fat, acid. All right. I'm going to give everybody about 45 seconds to a minute to catch up with where I am. So where we are right now, we have our egg wash in a bowl. And our egg wash or our batter is basically 1 tablespoon of water for each egg we will put in there. We have our panko breadcrumbs. And a little bit about panko breadcrumbs, it is a Japanese bread, a white bread without crust. The reason we use this is because the way they make the bread, it allows for it to be a lot crispier. And if you know anything about fried chicken, we like our chicken fried hard. And so if we're going to bake it, we want it to be baked hard as well. So this panko breadcrumb, you can use any other type of breadcrumb you want, but the panko breadcrumb is going to be the closest to giving you that crispy texture that you like. And then in our last bowl, we have trimmed the fat off of our chicken here. We season it with Cajun seasoning, garlic powder, and I like an extra kick, so black pepper. But if you don't want it too spicy, I would avoid the black pepper. You could also add any other seasonings. If you are at home with your options of seasonings, I explore you to play around in the seasoning cabinet. And if you don't want to eat this right now, you just want to watch and like let it marinate and take some time later, do that too. Throw it in a Ziploc bag or just cover the bowl up. Add maybe some fresh lemons or limes or maybe some vinegar, something with a little acid to it, and let it sit. It's going to be perfect. All right. I'm going to take a second while you guys are catching up to clean up my area here. Friend, you mind taking this for me? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. You mind bringing me back another cutting board? Thank you. All right. So hopefully everyone has caught up by now, but just in case you haven't, remember step-by-step instructions. That was the first thing in the box. Let's move forward. So we want to have a wet hand and a dry hand. So pick which one your wet hand and your dry hand is, because we're going to put the chicken in the egg first, and then we're going to put it in the breadcrumb, and we don't want our hands to get all sticky and dirty and stuff like that. So I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to take this chicken with my wet hand and dip it in the egg batter. I want to get it all around really, really good there. Make sure that it's coated. Drip that egg off in my Miss Tab voice, like so, like that. All right, and then put it in my breadcrumb, and now I'm going to use my dry hand to coat it. Coat it with my dry hand, making sure that it's really, really good. If you're like me and you want it extra, 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 extra crispy, you can double dip it. Put it back in the egg wash and then back in here. And then that's going to make it even crispier. But for today, I don't know if I have enough breadcrumbs to do that. Let's see. Let's see. All right, let's repeat the process. Wet hand. Let's get this chicken nice and wet. Nice and wet. Let's drip it off. Breadcrumb. With the other hand. One of my, I didn't go to culinary school. Food Network was my culinary school. And one of the shows back in the day that I used to really love was the Neelys, because they were from Memphis, and I felt attached to them for some reason for that. Anyway, I've since become very, very good friends with Gina Neely. And I told her one day, like, I learned how to use one hand and the other hand from Food Network watching you. All right. Wet hands. I see here them reminding everyone, if you just hopped in, make sure that your oven is preset to 400 degrees so you have a hot oven. Last piece. All right. We're coating it with our dry hand here. Yeah, so I don't have quite enough breadcrumbs to double dip, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Make sure you try to get as many of those breadcrumbs on there as possible, because, we want it crispy, right? Something else that you could have done, like you could have taken like some herbs, some Italian seasoning maybe, and put it in your breadcrumbs. So that's giving it like an Italian herb, panko crusted. You can season up your breadcrumbs a little bit if you want to. You can play with this a lot of different ways, all right? So because I don't have enough breadcrumbs to double dip, I'm just going to go back on top of my chicken and try to press some of those breadcrumbs in. Because we want it crispy like it's fried hot. I sing when I do things. I was on a date once and somebody was like, you sing when you talk? And I was like, I didn't, but now I know. So I sing when I talk. Boom. All right, I'm going to give my hands a little wash down here. Because I had chicken on there. If you're playing with raw chicken, make sure you wash those hands very, 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 very good. My friend, thank you. You can take this towel too. All right, so we have 2 pounds, and that might translate into 4 pieces, 5 pieces, but everybody got 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. We took it through the egg wash or the batter with our wet hand, and then we put it with panko breadcrumbs with our dry pan, and then we put it on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. The reason we use parchment paper is because we're using the panko breadcrumbs and we don't want that to stick to the pan, because it will stick to the pan. If you don't have any parchment and you're just following along at home, you can use a little oil spray or something like that to keep it from sticking. But we want this to come out nice and crispy. And so our oven should be ready to go. Chicken hopping in the oven, and it should be in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to say 25 minutes to be on the safe side. Because this is a chicken thigh rather than a chicken breast, you have some space to cook this a little longer and then not necessarily overcook, whereas a chicken breast would dry out. And so if you're not confident that it's done because it's a chicken thigh, give it 5 more minutes just in case you're not confident. This is a nice industrial oven, so it might only be 20 minutes for me, but it might be 25 minutes for you at home. So we'll gauge that. But it's going in the oven. and it is 5:45. So that gives us some time to take it out. I'm gonna put this on the top. Yeah. All right. So next thing I'm gonna do is check on my potatoes. Take a fork, and you just wanna stick a fork in your potatoes. If it's nice and tender and the fork goes down, your potatoes are ready to play with you. If it's still tough, don't worry about it yet. Try again later. So these potatoes are shockingly pretty tender. I'm gonna give it maybe about 2 more minutes so they don't get too soggy, but I think they're ready to go. And then I'm gonna elevate my water from my green beans here. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do, let's give this a tidy. My mama said always clean up while you're cooking. And she probably watching this, so I don't wanna get in trouble. All right. So next we have green beans, French green beans. They're already pre-cut. If you bought these from the store yourself and they're not pre-cut, you just want to trim the tips off, the little piece that sticks out, trim those off. But these already came like that. And so we're going to do a little cooking process called blanching. You want to blanch the green beans. And basically what you do is you take a boiling pot of water, take your vegetables. This just does not apply to green beans. Take your vegetables, stick it in the boiling water, cook it for about 5 to 6 minutes until the green beans are a bright green color. And then you want to take it out and immediately put it in the ice bath. The reason you're immediately putting it in the ice bath is because you want to stop that cooking process, because we don't want the green beans to continue to cook even after you take them out of the pot. And so after you stop that cooking process, that preserves the color, it preserves the nutrients. And we're gonna have another cooking process. We're actually gonna saute these green beans in blackened seasoning. And so we don't wanna overcook them the first time because we're gonna cook them a little bit more, all right? So I'm gonna show you how to do that. To do that, we need an ice bath. So my friend is gonna bring those over here. And you. Can we pause for the ice bath for a second? Yes, I'm gonna pause for a minute to get everybody to get their ice bath. And for that, you just need ice. You can put a little bit of water in there. I'm gonna use some of this water actually. And while everybody's getting that ice bath, I don't know if your potatoes are done yet, but mine are. So I'm gonna get my chef here to drain those for me and take those off. Thank you, friend. Give it up for my friend here. He know who's gonna have to do all this. All right. Turn these up. And so again, the ice bath is just water and ice. And we are doing that to keep the green beans fresh. We want that pop of green color on the plate. We don't want that like soggy, dirty green. We want like that green color. And we want all of the nutrients that we can get. You take all of the nutrients out when you overboil them and you overcook them. So we want all of that fresh green bean, vitamin, and nutrient situation all up in our bodies, especially in these COVID days. We need all of the healthy stuff we can get. All right. So about 15 minutes or seconds or so for everyone to get their ice baths. I'm done with this as well. All right. So next, I'm going to take my green beans and I'm going to put it in my other pot of boiling water here. And again, I'm going to cook these for, I said 5 to 6 minutes, but it might turn out to be like 4 to 5. All right, let me turn this off. Green beans going in the water. All right. All right, so now that my green beans are in the water for about 3 to 5 minutes, my potatoes have come back and they're hot and they're ready to go. However, you can just go ahead and put the butter and the cream and all that kind of stuff in there, but I like to heat up my cream a little bit before I add it to my potato because I want to make sure that the temperatures are the same and it doesn't seize up on me. And so the next thing I'm going to do, if you have another pot laying around, take that heavy cream and heat it up. Make sure that you're not heating it up too hot because you don't want it to boil over on you. And so if you don't have another pot, if you're in a dorm or something like that, you can take this container and put it in the microwave. But we just want this to be a nice hot temperature before we add to our potatoes. I have another pot, so I'm going to use it. All right, so that's warming up. And because this is a garlic mash, I'm going to take 2 cloves of my garlic here. And I'm going to mince those up, and I'm going to add it to my cream because it's going to make a nice garlic mashed potato. I don't want my, can you wait? Never mind. I got it, chef. I'm going to use my towel here so my cutting board doesn't slide. Chef tip, put something wet under your cutting board so it doesn't move on you. You won't cut yourself. All right, 2 cloves of garlic here. I'm just going to mince those a little bit. Give those a nice chop. If you bought minced garlic from the store, that's fine. Just chop these up nice. If you like garlic like that and you want it nice and whole, do that too. So just chopping up my garlic. Nice little slit down the center. Chop it down, brush it down. All right. I'm gonna come back with my knife here. Just give it a nice little chop. I think that took about 2 minutes of my blanching of my green beans. Y'all been counting? How much longer we got on those green beans? All right. So I got my garlic nice and chopped. I'm gonna add it to my cream. Get hot. Get hot. All right. So we got butter and cream going. We got our green beans going. They've been going for about 2 minutes. I'm gonna give them about 2 more minutes. We got hot potatoes right here. If you have a masher at home, cool. If you don't, get creative. Use a fork, use a spatula. I'm gonna use a slotted spoon. And so while my cream is heating, while my green beans have about 2 more minutes, I'm going to take this slotted spoon and I'm gonna start mashing those potatoes down. And I'm gonna get that you see. Actually, I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna put it in this bowl so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna transport this into a larger bowl. So I'm mashing these potatoes down. You can do it with a spatula, you can do it with a fork, do it with a lot of things. Oh yeah. I find that the fork is actually a little better, so I'm gonna do this with a fork. If you have a masher, use that. Get creative. There's a lot of stuff in your kitchen that can technically mash a potato. All right. So what I will do is take my butter and put that in there cold like that. I'm gonna cut this butter up just a bit. Yeah, I don't want to use that much. So cut my butter up into chunks. You don't have to do this, but I'm gonna put the chunks all over in different places. That way I can cover as much ground as I can with that flavor on these potatoes. Chunks all over. There I go, singing and talking. All right, so my butter's in there. And we're mashing and we're getting butter in there. We're mashing and we're buttering. And this butter, because it's so easy to melt, the temperature is gonna automatically melt that butter. Oh yeah. We are mashing. All right. I'm gonna take a pause on these and I'm gonna take my green beans off and get those. We're gonna drain them first and then we're gonna put them in the ice bath, all right? So my chef friend here is gonna drain them and he's gonna bring it back and we're gonna put it in the ice bath. So if you're at home, if you wanna take your green beans off, take them off, drain them first in a colander or a strainer, and then put them in your ice bath. That way you're not dumping the hot water into the ice bath because that defeats the purpose altogether. If you don't have one at home because you're a college student, try to take a lid or something like that, but you want to get that hot water out of there before you put it in your ice bath. Otherwise, it's going to melt your ice and it's going to be lukewarm water, and that defeats the purpose. So, can I repeat what? Yes, so with the garlic, I had 2 cloves of garlic. I literally just sliced it down the middle and just started chopping it up as finely as I can because I wanted to add that to my potato and I don't want large chunks in my potato. There's my mom. I don't want large chunks in the potato. So I did it that way. All right, I got my green beans back. All right. Green beans going straight into the ice bath. Boom. All right, so, and we want those to get in that water so they can stop cooking. So we want to get those down in there. Yes, yes, yes. Stop cooking, my friends. All right. All right, so if you see back here on the stove, you can see that my heavy cream and my garlic are at a nice simmer, and that's all I really needed. We didn't want to cook this. We just wanted to get it hot, like our potatoes. So I'm going to switch back to my slotted spoon, and I'm going to slowly add this hot liquid, this hot cream into my potato. I only want to add what I need. If you don't need it all, don't use it all. We just want this nice and creamy. You're putting cream and garlic in there. Let's mix that around. You see how it's already kind of smooth? Ooh. I'm gonna come over here and do this on this camera so y'all can really see. Turn it off. There we go. See better? Yeah. We're mixing it around. And I haven't even used all of my cream and it's already creamy. All right. Okay, that's looking good. We're gonna add the rest of our cream. And all of that, those really good garlic chunks are down there at the bottom too. So we want to make sure we get all of that good stuff. Boom. All right. I love the way these look. Sheesh. All right, and so we're going to salt and pepper these to taste. We have a little bit of sea salt left here, so we're going to use that. And we're doing this to taste. So if you want it to be extra flavorful, use as much salt as you like. If you're being really, really cautious with how much sodium you use, we want to go light on the sodium. If you want to use extra sodium more than they have in these ramekins and you have some at home, go for it. All right. And technically you should use white pepper, but we're going to use black pepper because that's our business. Black pepper. So we took some potatoes, we cubed them up, we gave them a quick boil, took them out, we heated up some cream with some garlic inside of there, and we just incorporated the two, and some butter. Really, really fast, really simple. Doesn't cost much. I have some tasting spoons down here, so let's see what we're talking about. I'm gonna need a little more salt, Chef. Can you figure that out for me? I appreciate you. All right. The consistency is good. Everything is good. I just want to pop in more flavor. So I'm going to add a little more salt to this when he gets back. But our potatoes sitting off to the side, chilling. Next, I'm going to take my green beans out of the colander here. So it depends on what you're defining as table salt. Salt is salt is salt is salt, but salt comes from different places. So kosher salt, the way it is manufactured, from sea salt to pink Himalayan salt, all of that is better than iodized salt. And so if I am telling people to use salt, I would definitely say use pink Himalayan salt, kosher salt, sea salt. And this is what I just got brought, pink Himalayan salt. Chef, can I get that colander again? I appreciate you. All right, so while he's giving me the colander again for my green beans, I'm gonna add a little more salt to my potatoes because that's my business. Oh, and then, so coarse versus fine, big crystals versus small crystals. All of that matters. I try to go with finer crystals when I'm seasoning, unless it's like a large cut of meat I'm cooking. All right, let's taste these again. Almost, just a little bit more. Don't tell nobody I'm using more salt. Yo, and because this is a garlic mashed potato and I have a little bit more garlic left, I'm gonna add some of that to it. Boom. Garlic powder. Thank you, my friend. Trade. Thank you. All right, so mash those back up. Potatoes should be ready to go. So the next thing you want to do is take your green beans out of the ice bath. Because we're going to be sauteing these afterwards, it's very, 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 very important to get these green beans dry, because you don't want to put wet liquid in oil while you're trying to saute, because that's going to burn you. And y'all can't blame me. It's not my fault. So make sure that you're all of that extra liquid out of there. Boom, boom, boom. No, the butter is not salted. Let's take the green beans out of the ice.
I have a question.
Take the green beans out of the ice.
Can you hear my question?
I can't hear. I can see my mama, but I can't hear her.
Yes. My question is, why do you braise the green beans?
So I'm not braising. Huh? That's my voice I hear back? Okay. I'm not braising the green beans. I'm blanching them.
Blanching them,
So why
okay.
I'm blanching the green beans is to stop the cooking process, because I first boil them and then I saute them, and so you don't want to overcook them while you're cooking them twice. And the second reason is because it preserves the color, it preserves the nutrients. It just makes you get the integrity of the real ingredient of a green bean when you cook it this way, as opposed to boiling it or just saute. You could also saute them directly, but that doesn't preserve the color. So you get fresh green out of this, you get nutrients out of this, you get versatility after this, and you just get the whole body of the ingredient when you do it this way. That's a good question, Mama. All right, gotta get these ice cubes out of there. All right, that's enough green beans. Chef Fred, thank you. All right, so our oven is going with our chicken. We have maybe about 15 more minutes on the chicken. Our mashed potatoes are ready to go. Our green beans have been blanched. And so now we're gonna start the saute process. I like to saute my black and green beans with a little bit of shallot. I was actually hanging out a few years ago in Jackson, Mississippi, and went to this restaurant, and they had black and green beans on the menu. And I'm thinking to myself, and it was one of those things where you just had to choose a side. And so I chose green beans, not because I really wanted green beans, but because that's what they had. And this is my first time having black and green beans. And so it changed my life. And I've been making them ever since. And traditionally, to blacken things, you're supposed to do it on a cast iron skillet, but you don't technically have to. So we are going to do that today. And so it's literally just olive oil, green beans that have been blanched. I add a little shallot to mine for color and flavor, and blackened seasoning. Wherever the blackened seasoning is at the grocery store, get that. So as you can see here in your bag, you also got shallots. I cut the shallots in half. I'm about to slice those up. Cut the tips off of those babies. Thank you. So we should have about 7.5 minutes to go on the chicken if you put yours in with me. Cutting my shallots. A shallot is going to give you a nice kind of a balance between an oniony, garlicky flavor. And it's going to give a lot of color to your green beans too. All right. So I got my shallots cut up, got my green beans ready to go. I'm going to take my saute pan here, put my stove on medium-high heat. Is this how did you get it? Oh, there we go. And my other ramekin of olive oil that we receive, I'm going to put it in this on medium high heat until our oil is ready to go. We got our shallots, we got our green beans. Mama, you haven't been watching, but I've been clean, I promise. All right. We have some extra eggs in here that we might not have needed, so you can boil those for breakfast or something. Potatoes, ready to go. Green beans. Make sure that you get all of that liquid out of the green beans because we're about to saute these babies up. And if you don't have all of that liquid out of there, it's going to get you. I once burnt this entire part of my arm by trying to saute some spinach, and all of the juice hadn't gone out of it yet. And I put it in some hot oil, and it got me real good. So just be careful. Cooking is love, but it's also dangerous. All right, I'm getting the vibe that my oil is done back here. So I'm going to put those green beans in there. I'm going to give my oil about 15 more seconds before I put the rest in there. Go ahead and get your blackened seasoning ready because that's going to go on top of your green bean as well. Your shallots are ready to go, chopped up. Our chicken needs about 5 more minutes or so. All right, that's the sound I like to hear. All right, so our green beans are going in. Boom. I'm gonna let these green beans cook on their own for about 2 minutes before I add the shallots. Shallots are kind of like garlic. When you put them in a skillet with some hot oil, they cook down very, very quickly. And if you cook them too long, they get really, really burnt and stringy. And so we want to avoid all of that. We're just going to cook it the last couple of minutes so that our green beans go by themselves. To the recreational class. I would love to. I would love to. Somebody said come back and teach. Yes. Especially if he makes his famous soul food egg. I got you, Katrina. Now keep in mind, our green beans are basically already done because we blanched them. So this is not going to take long at all. So I'm going to go ahead and add my shallots that we chopped up here. And my blackened seasoning to taste. Ooh. And give that a nice stir. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. I have a little bit of oil left over here, so I'm gonna take advantage of that. Put it down the side there. Let's get it hot. Boom. Oh yeah, we're in action, baby. I'm gonna give these about 2 more minutes and we should be ready to go. All right. While we're waiting on our green beans to go, get ready. Go ahead and get your plate of your choice. It's time, or at least almost time, to plate this up and make it sexy. These are college folk. I can say sexy, right? Everybody grown. All right. All right. All of this stuff out of our way. Let's clean up. I'm gonna clean my station a little bit while we're waiting. All right. So our green beans are looking good back here. Oh yeah. Let me see if they got enough personality. I'm gonna take advantage of the sea salt they gave me and give it a little more personality, a little more character. Salt. All right, turn it off. So we have potatoes. We have green beans. And how much longer on my chicken, friend? Five seconds. What? That's crazy. Let's see what my chicken is looking like. All right, so my chicken is nice and crispy. If you have a little bit of butter left at home, drizzle some of that butter on top of these panko breadcrumbs. It's gonna turn that color nice and golden brown, and it's gonna be great. Friend, can you grab some of that butter for me out of another box so I can drizzle on there? Thank you. In the meantime, in between time, we're gonna go ahead and start plating our food. And so it's always kind of best to start plating with your carb first, because that helps all of the rest of your food stick to the plate. So I'm gonna start here with a nice potato in the center. All right, thank you, friend. And then from there, I'm gonna go with my vegetable. So get rid of all my tongues, nope. My green beans. And so for the sake of plating, I'm probably gonna have my green beans sitting on the side of my chicken real cool like that. Real cool. Color. Look at this color. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Color, 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 color. Presentation is everything. All right, then I'm gonna take my panko chicken here. Stack it on there like that. Boom, 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 boom. Get this out of the way. Want to take my towel here and just clean off the edges of my plate. And I think this plate is so big, it needs a little more. Did I get rid of all that black pepper? I'm gonna add a little black pepper to the plate, give it a little more personality. But for the most part, friends, we're done. All right, I'm just gonna use this on the plate as a garnish. See those blank spaces, add a little pepper. Right there in that space, right there in that space. Okay. And there you have it. Let's pull this back here. Panko crusted chicken with garlic mash and black and green beans is basically like a traditional soul food chicken dinner, but it's a very, very, very healthy way to make it. Our chicken is oven roasted, 400 degrees. We use chicken thighs because they hold flavor and don't dry out. So for example, if you feel like your chicken needs about 10 more minutes in the oven, because this is a chicken thigh rather than a chicken breast, it can stand about 10 more minutes in the oven and it's not gonna dry out on you. It's not gonna do too much of anything on you. It's gonna be great. The mashed potatoes, literally we boiled potatoes, added garlic, added cream, added butter, mixed it with a fork. It was ready to go. Green beans, we learned a new cooking technique. We blanched those, boiled them, put them in an ice bath, took them out of the ice bath, sauteed them in a little olive oil with blackened seasoning and shallots. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. All right, so thank you guys so much for having me. My name is Desmond Robinson, also known as Chef D. Arthur. If you are looking for me, you can find me on my website, www.chefdarthur.com. That's DARTHUR.com. Instagram, chef_D. Arthur, spelled the same way, or Miss Hall can find me. Thank y'all so much for your time. Thank you, University of Memphis, for having me. Thank you, the Office of Multicultural Affairs. Thank you to the Kemmons Wilson Culinary Institute. This is great. Thank you, guys.
For more information about our Culinary Essentials Certificate, 4-year degree program, public classes, or any of our other programs, please visit us at memphis.edu/culinary.